Ever wonder what it's like to be born into royalty? Prince Hashem of Jordan went from being the baby of the family to a full-on royal superstar. This kid graduated from one of the fanciest schools in the Middle East, and now everyone's waiting to see what he'll do next. Will he join the military like his sister, or become a social media star like his mum? Either way, Prince Hashem's story is just getting started. Prince Hashem's humble beginnings. Let's talk about Prince Hashem's early days. This kid was born in 2005 and he was the baby of the royal family. But don't think he was just chilling in a golden crib all day. Nah, his parents, King Abdullah and Queen Rania, wanted him to have a normal childhood. Can you believe it? A prince living like a regular kid? So Hashem wasn't just hanging out with other royal kids. He was out there in regular schools making friends with normal kids. Imagine that, a prince sitting next to you in math class. But here's the thing, even though he was trying to be normal, he's still a prince. So he had some perks that other kids didn't have, and like when Hashem went to school, he had top-notch security. You know, just in case someone tried to mess with the royal kid. And his clothes? Yeah, they weren't just any old t-shirts and jeans. This kid was rocking some fancy designer threads, but he wasn't showing off or anything. His parents taught him to be humble. Now you might think being the youngest prince means you get to slack off, but not Hashem. This kid was hitting the books hard. He went to the International Academy Iman, which is like a fancy international school, but it wasn't just about academics for him. Hashem was into sports too. He played football and was pretty good at it. But here's where it gets interesting. Hashem wasn't content just being the baby prince. He wanted to make his own mark. So he started getting involved in some royal duties even when he was young. Like he'd show up at official events with his parents, looking all grown up in a suit. And get this, Hashem was into helping others from a young age. He'd go with his mum, Queen Rania, to visit orphanages and hospitals. That's pretty cool for a kid who could have just been playing video games in a palace all day. But don't think Hashem's life was all work and no play. This kid knew how to have fun too. He'd go on vacations with his family, but they weren't your average family trips. We're talking private jets and luxury resorts. But even then, his parents tried to keep things as normal as possible. As Hashem got older, people started noticing him more. He wasn't just the cute little prince anymore. He was growing up, and everyone was wondering what kind of man he'd become. Would he be a leader like his dad? Or a humanitarian like his mom? Or maybe he'd forge his own path? Princess Salma's military move. While everyone was wondering what Hashem was going to do next, his big sis Salma was out there making history. This girl ain't just a pretty face in a tiara, she's a straight-up badass. Salma went and joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force. Yeah, you heard that right. She's not just playing around with toy planes, she's flying the real deal. And get this, she's the first female pilot in Jordan's military. Talk about breaking barriers, right? But Salma didn't just walk into the Air Force. Nah, she had to earn her wings. She graduated from the Royal Military Academy in Sandhurst. That's like the Harvard of military schools, but in the UK. They don't just train anybody there, they're churning out future military leaders. Now Salma ain't just sitting pretty in her uniform, she's a first lieutenant, which means she's out there doing real military stuff. She's even been on missions to drop aid at the Jordanian field hospital in Gaza. That's some serious business, not just some photo op. But here's the thing. Salma's not just changing the game for herself, she's inspiring a whole generation of young women in Jordan. It's like she kicked down the door and said, "Ladies, come on in." And you know what? They're listening. Her family's super proud of her too. They're not just bragging about her at fancy dinners, they're shouting it from the rooftops. Salma's become a real role model, not just for her little bro Hashem, but for kids all over Jordan. Now imagine being Hashem watching all this go down. Your big sis is out there flying fighter jets and making history. It's got to make you think, right? Like, damn, my sister's a freaking superhero. What am I going to do? This is when Hashem starts realizing he can't just be the cute little prince anymore. He's got to step up his game. Salma's success is pushing him to find his own path. Maybe he'll join the military too, or maybe he'll do something completely different. But one thing's for sure, he ain't going to be known as just Salma's little brother anymore. Crown Prince Hussein's royal wedding. So you thought Hashem's life was already wild? Well, buckle up, because his big bro Hussein just took things to a whole new level. We're talking about the wedding of the century here, people. Crown Prince Hussein tied the knot with Princess Rajwa in June 2023, and let me tell you, it was insane. This wasn't just any old wedding. Nah, this was a party that had kings and queens from all over the world lining up to get in. It's like the Oscars, but with more crowns and way fancier outfits. And our boy Hashem? He was right there in the middle of all the action. Imagine being Hashem for a sec. 1 minute you're chilling with your bro, playing video games or whatever princes do in their spare time. The next minute you're watching him get hitched in front of the whole world. That's gotta mess with your head a little, right? But here's the thing, this wedding wasn't just about Hussein and Rajwa, it was a whole showcase of what royal life is all about. You had traditional Jordanian customs mixed with modern stuff, showing how the royal family keeps it real while still being, royal. And Hashem wasn't just some random guest, he had a front row seat to all of this. It's like he got a sneak peek at what his future could be like. Talk about an eye-opener. You gotta wonder what was going through Hashem's mind during all this. Like, is he thinking, damn, is this gonna be me someday? Or maybe he's more like, nah, I'll leave the big weddings to Hussein, I'm gonna do my own thing. Either way, this wedding was a game changer for Hashem. It's not just about the fancy clothes and the big party. It's about seeing his brother step up and take on this huge responsibility. It's like Hussein saying, look, little bro, this is what being a royal is all about. And you know what? This isn't just a Jordan thing. In other royal families, these big events are often turning points for the younger siblings. It's like they suddenly realize, oh snap, this royal stuff is for real. So while everyone else is busy oohing and ahhing over the wedding cake and the guest list, Hashem's probably doing some serious thinking. He's seeing his family on the world stage, watching his brother become a married man, and maybe starting to think about his own place in all of this. It's crazy to think about how fast things change when you're royal. One minute you're the baby of the family, the next you're watching your big bro get married in front of the whole world. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. Princess Iman's fairy tale wedding. Just when you thought the royal family couldn't get any more interesting, Princess Iman steps up to the altar. Yeah, Hashem's other sister got hitched in 2023 too, and let me tell you, it was like something straight out of Disney. But here's the kicker. Iman didn't go for some fancy prince or royal dude. Nah, she fell for a regular guy, a New York financier named Jamil Thermiotis. And this wedding wasn't just about the bling and the fancy guests. It was a whole new vibe for the royal fam. Imagine Hashem watching his big sis living her best life, marrying for love instead of tradition. It's got to be eye-opening for the young prince, seeing that being royal doesn't mean you got to follow a strict rule book. Now don't get it twisted. This wedding still had all the royal trimmings. We're talking a fairy tale event that mixed up old school royal stuff with some modern twists. It's like the family saying, yeah, we're royal, but we're also keeping up with the times. And you know what? It's working for them. But here's the real tea. This wedding had a totally different feel from Hussein's big bash. It was more chill, more relaxed. Hashem's probably thinking, so this is what happens when you follow your heart. It's like he's getting a front row seat to two different ways of being royal. And you gotta wonder what's going through Hashem's mind. He's seeing his sister Iman, born in 1996, making her own path. She's not just following some ancient royal playbook. Nah, she's writing her own story. And that's gotta be making Hashem think about his own future. This wedding ain't just about the pretty dresses and fancy cakes. It's showing Hashem that there's more than one way to wear that crown. He's probably starting to wonder what kind of royal he wants to be. Does he want to go all traditional like Hussein? Or maybe he's thinking about mixing it up like Iman. It's crazy to think about how this one wedding could change so much. Hashem's getting a crash course in modern royalty. He's seeing that you can keep the good parts of tradition but still do your own thing. It's like Iman's wedding is a peek into the future of what being royal might look like. King's Academy graduation. While everyone was focused on the royal weddings, Prince Hashem was busy leveling up in a whole different way. In 2023, he wasn't just walking down the aisle, he was walking across the stage at King's Academy. And trust me, this ain't your average graduation. King's Academy is like the Eton of the Middle East. It's where the cream of the crop goes to school. We're talking top-notch education, crazy high standards, and a rep that'll open doors faster than you can say royal flush. Hashem didn't just attend, he crushed it. But here's the real kicker. The entire royal fam showed up to watch Hashem get that diploma. We're talking King Abdullah, Queen Rania, the whole squad. It was like a mini royal wedding, but instead of exchanging rings, Hashem was exchanging his school uniform for a grad gown. Now you might be thinking it's just a graduation, what's the big deal? But in the royal world, this is huge. It's like Hashem's coming out party, but instead of debutante balls, he's debuting his brain. It's showing everyone that he's not just the baby of the family anymore. He's a force to be reckoned with. And get this, Hashem wasn't just hitting the books at King's Academy. Nah, he was all about that extracurricular life too. We're talking sports, clubs, the whole 9 yards. This kid was building a royal resume that'd make even his overachieving siblings jealous. The graduation ceremony was like a highlight reel of Hashem's time at King's Academy. There were pics and videos everywhere showing the royal fam beaming with pride. You could practically see King Abdullah and Queen Rania thinking, that's our boy. It was a real family moment, proving that even royals get hyped about report cards and diplomas. But here's the thing, this graduation isn't just about Hashem. It's about the whole royal family and what they stand for. By showing up in full force, they're sending a message loud and clear. Education matters. It's like they're saying, hey, we may have crowns, but we've got brains too. For Hashem, this graduation is like his official I'm all grown up moment. He's not just Prince Hashem anymore, he's Prince Hashem, King's Academy grad. It's his ticket to the big leagues of royal life. Now everyone's wondering what's next for this young prince. Will he follow in his siblings' footsteps, or will he carve out his own path? Royal social media presence. Hold up, we're about to see how Prince Hashem's taking the social media game to a whole new level. But first, let's talk about the OG royal influencer herself, Queen Rania. This lady's got millions of followers hanging on her every post. She's not just sharing cute family pics, she's out here promoting humanitarian efforts and cultural understanding like it's her job, which I guess it kinda is. Now, Hashem's been watching his mum work her magic on the gram and Twitter, and he's been taking notes. He's not just sitting back and letting his parents do all the talking. Nah, this prince is stepping up his game. He's been popping up more and more on the royal family's official accounts, and people are starting to notice. But here's the thing. Hashem ain't just posting selfies and flexing his royal status. He's using his growing social media presence to shine a light on the stuff that really matters. We're talking charity work, important causes, all that good stuff. It's like he's found his voice and he's not afraid to use it. You know how some rich kids just use social media to show off their fancy cars and designer clothes? Not Hashem. He's out here trying to make a difference. He's leveraging his royal status and his growing follower count to highlight social issues that need attention. It's like he's saying, yeah, I'm a prince, but I'm also just a guy who wants to make the world a little better. And people are starting to take notice. Hashem's evolving into a real social media prince, carving out his own identity separate from his famous parents and siblings. He's not just Queen Rania's son or Prince Hussein's little brother anymore. He's Prince Hashem, and he's got something to say. When you look at other young royals around the world, Hashem's approach to social media is pretty fresh. It's like he and his family get that social media isn't just about looking good or staying relevant. It's a tool to connect with people, to promote causes, to make a real impact. Humanitarian work beginnings. You think being a royal kid is all about fancy parties and designer clothes? Well, Prince Hashem's got a whole different game plan. This kid's spending his time in places most people wouldn't dare to go. Yeah, we're talking refugee camps and charity events, but not just for show. Hashem's getting his hands dirty and making a real difference. See, the Jordanian royal family's got this big legacy of helping people out. It's like their thing, you know? And Hashem's not about to let that tradition die. He's jumping right in, following in his parents' footsteps. But he ain't just doing it because he has to. Nah, this prince is all in, showing he's got a real passion for helping others. When Hashem visits these refugee camps, he's not just waving and smiling for the cameras. He's actually talking to people, listening to their stories and trying to understand what they're going through. It's like he's on a mission to see the world through their eyes. And that's pretty cool for a royal kid, right? But it doesn't stop there. Hashem's showing up at all kinds of charity events too. And get this, he's not just cutting ribbons and making speeches. He's rolling up his sleeves and getting involved in the actual work. It's like he's saying, hey, I'm not just here for the photo op. I'm here to make things happen. You know how some rich kids just throw money at charities and call it a day? Well, Hashem's different. He's out there face to face with the people who need help. It's like he's found his calling, his way to give back to the world. And let's be real, that's pretty impressive for a teenager. This ain't just some phase either. Hashem's proving he's got a heart of gold to match that royal title. He's showing everyone that being a prince isn't just about living the high life. It's about using your position to make the world a better place. And you know what? People are starting to notice. They're seeing that Hashem's not just another spoiled royal kid. He's someone who really cares about making a difference. It's like he's building his own legacy, one good deed at a time, international education plans. So Prince Hashem's graduated from King's Academy, and now everyone's wondering what's next for this royal smarty pants. Well, word on the street is he's eyeing some seriously fancy international universities. We're talking Ivy League, Oxbridge, all those places where the world's future leaders go to school. But here's the thing, Hashem ain't just riding on his royal status to get in. Nah, this prince has got the brains to back it up. King's Academy is no joke, it's like the Jordanian version of Eton. So you know Hashem's got the grades to compete with the best of them. But get this, Hashem's not just looking for any old fancy school. He's on the hunt for a place that'll let him make a real difference in the world. It's like he's planning his whole future around giving back to Jordan and beyond. Talk about a prince with a purpose. Now you might be thinking, why is this royal kid so focused on education? Well, turns out it runs in the family. Hashem's dad, King Abdullah, is a total education junkie. The guy went to Sandhurst in the UK and even studied international politics at Oxford. So you know education's a big deal in this royal household. But Hashem's not just following in Daddy's footsteps, he's carving out his own path. There's buzz that he might go for something like international relations or political science. It's all about using that education to serve Jordan better. This prince is thinking big, like global impact big. And get this, the whole royal fam is backing him up. They're all about balancing those royal duties with hitting the books. It's like they're saying, yeah, you're a prince, but you gotta have the smarts to back it up. So while other rich kids might be partying it up, Hashem's out here planning how to change the world. He's turning into a real international man of mystery. But instead of gadgets and fast cars, he's got textbooks and a vision for the future. Military training possibilities. Prince Hashem's got some big decisions coming up and everyone's wondering if he's gonna follow in his family's footsteps. His dad, King Abdullah II, ain't just any regular dude. He went to Sandhurst in the UK, which is like the Harvard of military schools. That's where the real deal soldiers train, and King Abdullah crushed it there. But here's the thing, Hashem's got options because Jordan's military ain't no joke. They've got the army, air force, and even special forces. It's like a buffet of badassery, and Hashem's got to decide if he wants a taste. Now you might be thinking, why is this such a big deal? Well, in Jordan, it's kind of like a royal tradition. The people there are all about it. They think it's cool when the royal fam serves in the military. It's like, hey, these guys aren't just sitting around in fancy palaces. They're out here putting in work for the country. But here's where it gets interesting. Hashem's keeping quiet about his plans. He ain't confirming or denying anything. It's like he's playing a game of royal poker and nobody knows what cards he's holding. Some people are saying he might switch things up. Maybe he'll do something totally different from his fam. But whatever he chooses, you know it's going to be big news. The whole country's watching this guy like he's the star of some real-life reality show. And let's not forget, Hashem's got some tough acts to follow. His dad's a military legend and his brother's already made his mark. But the real pressure might be coming from his sister Salma. She's out there flying planes and dropping aid in Gaza. That's some next-level stuff. So Hashem's got a lot to think about. Does he want to be up in the sky like Salma? Or maybe he's more into the ground game like his dad was? Or maybe he's going to surprise everyone and join the Navy or something. Who knows? But here's the thing, whatever Hashem decides, it's going to be a big deal for Jordan. If he goes the military route, it's going to strengthen that connection between the royal family and the people. It's like saying, we're in this together. But if he doesn't, that could be just as interesting. It might show that the royal family's changing with the times. Either way, Hashem's next move is going to be headline news. People are going to be talking about it in the streets, in the cafes, probably even in the palace. It's like the whole country's holding its breath, waiting to see what this young prince is going to do next. Fashion icon in the making. Yo, check this out. Prince Hashem ain't just a royal face anymore. He's turning into a straight-up fashion icon. And it's not just about looking good. This dude's got a whole strategy behind his style game. So picture this. Hashem shows up at these fancy royal events, right? But he ain't just wearing any old suit. Nah, he's rocking designer threads that make everyone do a double take. We're talking sleek lines, perfect fits, and details that scream luxury. But here's the kicker. He's not just sticking to the big names everyone knows. Hashem's got this crazy talent for mixing it up. He'll take a high-end designer piece and pair it with something from a local Jordanian designer. It's like he's saying, yeah, I can rock Gucci, but check out what we're making right here in Jordan. It's smart, because he's not just showing off his own style. He's putting Jordanian fashion on the map, making people all over the world take notice. But don't think Hashem's playing it safe. This prince ain't afraid to take risks. He's out here trying new styles that nobody's seen before on a royal. It's like he's walking this tightrope between traditional royal looks and stuff you'd see on a runway in Paris. And guess what? People are loving it. Fashion magazines are starting to catch on. They're writing about Hashem like he's the next big thing in royal fashion. And they're not wrong. Every time he steps out, people are waiting to see what he's going to wear next. It's like he's turning every royal appearance into his own personal fashion show. But here's the thing that's really wild about Hashem's style. It's not just about looking fly. This dude's using fashion like it's a secret weapon in diplomacy. Every outfit he wears is like a statement about Jordanian culture. He's showing the world that Jordan isn't just some place in the desert. It's a country with its own unique style and flair. When Hashem rocks a suit that mixes Western design with traditional Jordanian elements, he's not just getting dressed. He's telling a story about his country. He's showing how Jordan can hang with the best of them when it comes to fashion, but still keep its own identity. Royal sports enthusiast. Alright, so Hashem's got the fashion game on lock, but that's not even half the story. This prince is trading in his designer threads for something a little more sweaty. Yeah, you heard that right. Prince Hashem ain't just sitting around the palace sipping tea and looking pretty. Nah, he's out there getting his hands dirty and his heart pumping with some serious sports action. We're talking football, horseback riding, you name it. But here's the kicker. Hashem ain't just doing this for the gram or to stay in shape. Nah, this smart cookie is using sports to connect with regular Jordanians. It's like he's saying, hey, I might be a prince, but I can kick a ball around just like you. And get this, Hashem's showing up at local matches, cheering on the national teams like he's just another fan in the stands. But he ain't just watching from the sidelines. This prince is getting in on the action, playing alongside everyday folks. It's like he's breaking down those fancy palace walls one game at a time. Now there's even talk about Hashem becoming a sports ambassador for Jordan. Can you imagine? A prince repping his country not just in fancy suits at diplomatic dinners, but in cleats on the field? That's next level, man. But here's the real deal. Hashem's proving he's not just a prince, he's a team player. He's using sports to show that royalty ain't all about crowns and thrones. It's about connecting with your people, understanding their passions, and being part of something bigger than yourself. And let me tell you, the people are loving it. They're seeing a side of royalty that's not all pomp and circumstance. It's sweaty, it's real, and it's relatable. Hashem's out there showing that you can be born with a silver spoon in your mouth and still know how to hustle on the field. This whole sports thing, it's not just about Hashem having fun, it's about him saying, I'm one of you. He's using every goal, every race, every game to build bridges between the palace and the people. And that's the kind of move that turns a prince into a people's champ. Hashem's even talked about how important sports are to him. He's all about how sports can bring people together, create unity and build community. It's like he's figured out that sometimes the best way to lead isn't from a throne, but from the middle of a huddle. Tech-savvy royal. From sports fields to computer fields, Hashem's making some serious moves. This prince ain't just kicking balls, he's kicking off a tech revolution in Jordan. And trust me, it's way more intense than any football match. Hashem's not content with just being a royal in the traditional sense. Nah, he's diving headfirst into the world of tech and innovation. We're talking coding workshops, startup incubators, and all that techie stuff. But here's the kicker. Hashem's not just sitting back and watching. He's getting his hands dirty, trying to be a creator in the tech world. Word on the street is that Hashem's working on some secret tech projects, like seriously hush-hush stuff. He's not spilling the beans yet, but you can bet it's going to be something big. This prince is meeting with Silicon Valley bigwigs, soaking up knowledge from the best in the biz. He's not just playing around with gadgets, he's learning how to build the future. But Hashem's not keeping all this tech knowledge to himself. He's pushing hard for more tech education in Jordan. It's like he's trying to turn the whole country into a mini Silicon Valley. He's setting up coding camps for kids, sponsoring tech competitions, and even working with schools to beef up their computer science programs. Hashem's got this vision of Jordan as a tech hub in the Middle East, and he's putting in the work to make it happen. The prince is also getting involved in some cutting-edge stuff. We're talking AI, blockchain, all that futuristic tech you hear about. He's not just learning about it, he's trying to figure out how to use it to solve real problems in Jordan, like using AI to improve healthcare or blockchain to make government more transparent. It's some next-level thinking from a guy who could have just chilled in the palace. Hashem's tech game is changing how people see the royal family. He's showing that royals can be more than just figureheads. They can be innovators and problem solvers. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty with lines of code or stay up all night brainstorming startup ideas. It's like he's redefining what it means to be a modern prince. And get this, Hashem's not just focused on the fancy high-tech stuff. He's also working on bringing basic tech literacy to everyone in Jordan. He set up programs to teach older folks how to use smartphones and the internet. It's like he wants everyone in Jordan to be part of this tech revolution, not just the young and wealthy. Future leadership training. Yo, check this out. Prince Hashem ain't just coasting on his royal status. This dude's gearing up for some serious leadership roles, and he's not messing around. He might not be the crown prince, but that ain't stopping him from stepping up his game. So here's the deal. Hashem's been sitting in on government meetings, soaking up all that political knowledge like a sponge. But he's not just there to look pretty. Nah, this prince is asking questions, challenging ideas, and really getting into the nitty-gritty of how things work. He's showing everyone that he's got more than just a fancy title. He's got brains and ambition too. And it's not just about watching from the sidelines. Hashem's diving headfirst into diplomacy training and public speaking workshops. He's learning how to talk the talk and walk the walk of a real leader. People are starting to take notice too. They're seeing him as more than just the baby of the family. He's becoming a force to be reckoned with. But here's where it gets real interesting. Hashem's not content with just being another face in the royal crowd. He's out there making waves, getting involved in discussions about complex issues. And you know what? Political figures in Jordan are starting to sit up and take notice. They're seeing his potential and they're liking what they see. This whole leadership training thing, it's not just for show. The Jordanian royal family takes this stuff seriously. They're all about making sure every member of the fam is ready to step up and serve, even if they're not directly in line for the throne. It's like they're building a whole team of leaders, not just one. And Hashem, he's right there in the thick of it. He's not just going through the motions, he's actively participating, showing he's got what it takes to be a real leader. He's turning into someone with vision and ideas, someone who could really make a difference for Jordan. But here's the kicker. This ain't just about Jordan. Hashem's part of a bigger trend. Non-heir royals all over are stepping up, taking on big responsibilities in their families. They're preparing for future roles in governance, showing that being royal is about more than just fancy parties and photo ops. The future of Jordan's monarchy. So what's the deal with Prince Hashem? This guy's not just chilling in the palace anymore, he's stepping up big time and people are taking notice. Hashem's becoming a key player in Jordan's royal scene, and it's got everyone talking about the future of the monarchy. You might think being the youngest prince is all about fancy parties and living it up, but Hashem's got other plans. He's out here making moves that could change the game for Jordan. Experts are saying he's becoming a vital support to his big bro, Crown Prince Hussein. It's like he's the secret weapon the royal family didn't even know they needed. But here's the thing. Hashem ain't just following in his family's footsteps. He's blazing his own trail. The dude's finding ways to mix up the old school royal stuff with some fresh ideas. It's like he's got one foot in tradition and the other in the future, and somehow he's making it work. No, people are starting to see Hashem as more than just the baby of the family. He's growing up and showing he's got what it takes to make a real impact. His education, skills, and passion for helping others are setting him up to be a major player in Jordan's future. And get this, public opinion is shifting. Folks in Jordan are starting to see Hashem as this key figure who's got the perfect mix of old and new. His recent graduation and the way he's been handling royal duties have got people talking. They're like, this guy gets it. He knows what Jordan needs. But Hashem's not just about looking good for the cameras. Political analysts are saying his education and upbringing are prepping him to deal with both local and international stuff. It's like he's got this secret sauce that's making the royal family more relevant in a world that's changing faster than you can say crown jewels. The cool thing about Hashem is he's not trying to be king. Nah, he's carving out his own unique role. He's all about supporting his brother and making sure the monarchy stays strong. It's like he's the ultimate wingman but for an entire country. So what's next for Prince Hashem? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Everyone's watching to see what this young prince is gonna do. But one thing's for sure. The future of Jordan's monarchy is looking pretty bright with Hashem in the mix.